One peaceful evening in Nazareth, Jesus played outside with the village children as the golden sun slowly disappeared behind the hills. The children laughed and ran through the dusty streets, while little birds sang softly in the trees. Jesus noticed a tiny baby bird that had fallen from its nest, and with gentle hands, he carefully lifted it back to safety, while the children watched with wonder. Suddenly, a faint cry echoed through the evening air. Jesus paused and listened carefully. Far away in the hills, a tiny lamb was crying. The children looked nervous as the sky slowly turned dark blue with the coming night. But Jesus smiled warmly and said softly, "It sounds like a lost lamb. Love helps those who are afraid." Together, the children followed Jesus along the winding moonlit path leading toward the hills. Lanterns glowed softly in their hands, while stars slowly appeared overhead. Along the trail, a tiny bunny hopped across the road, making everyone giggle for a moment.
But soon, the sad crying of the lamb grew louder and louder. High above them on the rocky hillside stood a frightened little lamb, trembling in the cold night wind. The tiny lamb looked scared and alone. Jesus stepped forward gently and called out, "Do not be afraid." Carefully, Jesus climbed the rocky path while the children followed behind him. One little girl almost slipped on the loose stones, but Jesus quickly held her hand and helped her safely continue. Finally, Jesus reached the tiny lamb. The frightened animal slowly moved closer and lovingly nuzzled against his robe. The children smiled with joy as they watched Jesus comfort the little creature. But suddenly, dark clouds rolled across the sky, and rain began to fall softly over the hills. Jesus wrapped the lamb safely in his robe and guided everyone toward a small, glowing cave nearby. Inside the cave, everyone gathered together beside the warm light of a lantern and a tiny fire crackling gently against the stone walls. Jesus carefully wrapped the lamb in a soft blanket while the children sat quietly beside him.
One little boy looked at Jesus and asked, "Why do you help everyone?" Jesus smiled kindly and answered, "Because everyone matters to God." The children felt peaceful and safe listening to his gentle words while the rain slowly faded outside the cave. Soon the storm passed and the sky filled once again with shining stars. Far away across the hills, a shepherd called out loudly for his missing lamb. The tiny lamb immediately recognized the voice and happily jumped from Jesus' arms. The shepherd rushed forward with tears in his eyes and hugged his little lamb tightly. "Thank you," the shepherd said, gratefully. Jesus simply smiled and pointed toward the beautiful stars shining brightly above them. Together, everyone walked home through the peaceful moonlit fields, while the warm lights of Nazareth glowed softly in the distance. And from that night on, the children always remembered that no one is ever forgotten by God.